Hello everyone, it's week 4 of the Creative Envelopes prompt over in the Facebook group, the Mixed Media Emporium. For anybody who wants to follow along with the prompt, I'll leave the link to the Facebook group in the description box below, so do feel free to come along and join us. Before I start, I just want to say that what a funny old few weeks it's been for everyone. We are finally in lockdown here in the UK. It's been a rocky week. We had to whiz up to Leeds to collect our eldest son because he's up there in his final year of university. So we've now got him home because we didn't want him being isolated up there. And of course, our youngest son, who's in the final year of his A-levels prior to university, is now, at home as well. College is completely cancelled. So we've had very mixed emotions all week in our household. Our eldest son at university has taken everything in his stride. Whereas Sam, our youngest, is feeling very apprehensive and a bit hard done by, and feeling that all of the hard work over the last 2 years is in jeopardy. So, interesting times ahead and lots of moods and emotions and feelings that, we've got to manage. So I want to try and, gee everybody up during this very, very difficult time. Now, I will say that whilst I've got everybody at home, there may be lots of noises that you will hear in the background and, working from home and everybody being here, there's nothing I can do about that, so you're just going to have to bear with me. But I want to work in my usual scraps journal today, so here it is. I've got a playlist as well, sharing how I made the journal as well as the pages that I've created to date. So if anybody is interested in anything that you see as we flick through this going forward, then do have a look at the playlist in the description box below. But these are the pages that I've done so far. It's this journal is very much still in the early stages, and it's a journal made up of junk and things that have been received through the mail, etc., scraps and all of that kind of thing. So these were the last 2 pages I did, and I've done these 2 here, and you can see that the pages are just a mixture of sales ledgers, music ledgers, all of that kind of thing, and they're just held in place with a hair elastic. This is just one of those elastic Alice bands. So where was I? So of course these are the pages. I've done this one here as well. This is a piece of wallpaper just with a postage stamp from the envelope that the tag came in. This is a tag from one of our admins in the Facebook group, Piles of Paragraphs, Laurie Padilla. And this was a tag that I created from her kit, and the stamp was on the envelope that she sent me. And of course, I've just got a plastic pocket here with a tag that was made in one of our previous prompts from Clothing Tags. And then I've got this envelope here, which again was something that was sent to me in the post, and that is as far as I've got with this journal so far. Now today, seeing as we are on Creative Envelopes, I want to use this envelope here, and again this is another envelope that came in the post. I received this from Waitrose, which is one of our supermarkets here, so there was obviously some promotional offer or what have you, maybe even vouchers, I don't know, that came through the post, but I've kept this because I just absolutely loved the design and colour of the envelope. And I want to use this because it picks up the colour that I've got on the front of my journal. This was a cover that I made from one of the master boards that we created in January, I do believe. So that's what I'm going to use. And the reason I'm going to stick it here is because it's big enough to take up most of the page. It covers up the brads that are on the back of the page holding this in place. So I'm going to pop that there. And also, I don't know if I hold this up, that the numerals on the ledger page are the same colour typeface as the envelope, so I just think that goes really, really well. So that's where I'm going to start today. I'm going to work on this side of the envelope here because I'm going to glue this down in my journal, and I found this piece of wallpaper here. This is just a wallpaper sample that came from one of our hardware stores, and I just absolutely love this flower here, which just goes perfectly. So I'm just going to fussy cut this out. It's got a tear in it here, but you know, I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to fussy cut this out and see what I can do with the flower. I've got my flower out, and that's going to go on there, something like that. I can glue that down and trim around the edges, but what I want to do first of all, just because that doesn't stand out very well, it kind of blends into the background. So I've got some Stays On ink here in teal blue, and I'm just going to attempt just to darken it slightly, just around the edges, just to give it a bit of a border and just make it stand out a little bit more. And this ink is sinking into the wallpaper really nicely, so I'm just going to go all around the edge of the flower like this, and of course this will just grunge it up a bit as well, and just to help it stay more in keeping with the vintage and shabby chic style that I've got going on in the journal so far. So I'm just going to carry on doing this. That's helped, and I like that a lot better. I've just gone over it, just where that that little tear is as well, but I think I want to darken it further, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of olive green as well. So let's just see how that might look, and again you see that's darkening it even further. So I'm just going to carry on and do the same again. That looks much better and stands out, you know, even more, but I'm going to use a tiny bit of black as well. I don't know, it's to me it's just not there quite yet. You see, the black just makes a really big difference. Really happy with that now. I've got the depth of colour that I was after, but before I glue it down, I just want to do the same thing with the envelope. I don't like the white edge that I've got here, so I'm just going to go round it with both colours, both the teal blue and the olive green, just to frame it. Let's try it on the other. Here we go, just like this. Okay, so I framed the envelope just with the teal blue in the end. I didn't bother with the olive green, and I'm just going to glue this down. Now I'm just going to use a glue stick for that. What have I done with it? I had it a minute ago. So I'm just going to use my Scotch stick and apply some all over the back of the flower. This should be plenty strong enough to hold it in place. Just make sure that I've applied plenty of glue to the edges. So let's stick this down. So how do I want that to go? About there, I think. Let's try and centralise the leaves. Right, let me just grab a baby wipe. Hang on. Just get rid of some of this excess glue here, and then I'm just going to use a credit card or a bone folder. A bone folder will do, just to make sure that that's stuck down nicely. There we go, and then I can just trim the bottom. I really like how that flower looks, and I might need to use a neo colour or something there just to get rid of that tear mark there and just disguise it. But I'm pretty happy with that so far. So I'm just going to trim the bottom, and careful not to cut into my envelope. I want to get rid of the branding that I've got at the top of the page here, so I've pulled out some of this Hessian burlap ribbon, and I think that will look quite nice if I put some of that right across the top. So I'm just going to trim this, and I'm toying with the idea of using my sewing machine on that and just sewing across the top. So I think I'm just going to whiz off and do that perhaps. I'm also thinking that I might like to add another contrasting ribbon over the top. Let's have a look and see what I've got here. I've pulled out some ribbons that are in the same colourways. I've got this piece of ribbon here that I thought might look quite nice. I quite like it that way round, I think. Again, that you know, ties in with the colours without it being too busy. So I really like that one there. So that one's a possibility. I also like this one here as well. Let me just try this. I need to just get it undone first. These are just cheap ribbons from the works here in the UK. No, I like that one there, but as I say, I like it that way that way up. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it on the ribbon as opposed to directly to the envelope, just in case I screw it up. I've only got one of these envelopes, so if I make a mistake, then I'm stuck. So I'm just going to go off and sew that with my sewing machine. Oh, I've successfully sewn that on. It's not the best sewing in the world, can you see that? And I'm leaving some loose threads at the end as well. And I think I'm just going to stick that down just like that, with the bits hanging off the edge, just with a little bit of Fabri-Tac. This is my old Fabri-Tac. Let's see if I can get any out of this. Let me do it on a piece of deli paper just in case. So I'm just going to put a small bead of Fabri-Tac all the way along like this. Come on, don't die on me now. I'm just trying to finish off the last dregs in this bottle. I'm just going to smooth that out with my finger just so that it doesn't bleed through to the other side. I just need a touch more there, like that. There we are. Let's grab the wipe, get rid of the excess off my fingers, and then stick it down. So make sure I get it the right way up, and that's just going to go there, just like that. Make sure I get it even on both sides. Love how that looks. What I've decided to do, I've cut a square of burlap ribbon, same stuff as this, just wider. And what I'm going to do is I want to glue it down to this piece of cardstock here. I'm going to start off by just doing it. Let me just see which side I want to use. It doesn't really matter, they're the same. I'm going to use a glue stick. So I'm just going to add plenty on the back. I'm going to end up punching this into a circle, but I just need to make sure that I've glued it down properly first. The reason I'm using glue stick is that I don't want to add too much Fabri-Tac, because it has a tendency to bleed through. But I do want to make sure that this sticks to the cardstock properly. Let me just add a tiny bit of Fabri-Tac. I might use my other one actually, just because it's thinner. Let's just get rid of that loose thread. Oh, there. The elastic band that's holding my camera above has just snapped. I'm going to have to go and sort that out in a second. So a bit of Fabri-Tac here, and to stop that bleeding through to the other side of the fabric, I'm just going to smooth that out with my finger like this, and then stick that down. And again, before I do anything, I'm just going to weight it down underneath a heavy book. I've just got a really heavy old English dictionary, which I use as a weight, and quite often I'll put a house brick on top as well. This piece ended up being a bit of an experiment. For starters, where I placed the book on top, some of the cover has stuck to the fabric, so I did another one. I also tried to see if I could punch through using my circle punch as well, but with the fabric it's not having any of it. What I want to do is I've got this butterfly here, and I want to see if I can emboss a butterfly onto this piece of burlap. Again, another experiment. I have no idea whether this is going to work or not, but we'll see. So I'm just going to stamp that on like this. I'm going to have to trim it anyway, so if it's not completely central, then that's okay. So I'm just going to press down really hard just to make sure that I've got plenty of that embossing ink on the fabric. That should do. And then I've got some black embossing powder. I'm going to do the same technique that I did last week for the ATC coins here on the mailing envelopes. Let's see if it will work on fabric. Yes, now you can see I've got plenty of embossing powder that's stuck to the fabric that I'm going to need to brush off. So I'm just going to try and find myself a small paintbrush, and so I'm just going to clean this up, and then I'm just going to heat set that with my heat tool, exactly the same as I did for the coins last week. So as soon as I've done this, I should be right back, and it's brushing off really easily. No problem at all. I'm just going to heat set this with my heat tool. Just like last week, I'm going to use my Versamarker pen, which is the same as the powder, but just in pen form. And I'm just going to apply some ink to the body of the butterfly so that I can use some of the Stardust embossing powder. I was asked last week what make this was. It's by a brand called Fun Stamps. This is a really, really old one, but I have checked and it is available on eBay. Got plenty of embossing ink on there, so let's sprinkle over some of the Stardust and whoops daisy, see if we can get that to stick as well. And again, I'm just going to heat set that with my heat tool. Oh, what do you know, we've got an embossed butterfly on fabric. Now I want to make this smaller and I know that it's going to bug me if I don't get it straight, so I'm just going to do this on my rotary trimmer. That's a little embellishment and I'm looking at it now. And I don't know, there's something that just isn't working for me. I've ended up rounding the edges, and the way that I did that was just I cut another piece of card. Let me just show you. And then rounded the edges just with my small corner rounder, and then I just cut around that. I used the piece of cardstock as a template because, of course, we know that the fabric isn't going to go through the punch. But I've dug out these two chips here. I feel as if I want something on there, but I'm just not sure what. I keep looking at that flower. I've also got a little butterfly as well, but no, that one still works best. Those are a bit small. I wonder if I distress ink around the edges, whether that would work. Where's my dauber? Let's give that a try. We've got nothing to lose, have we? Let's see if I distress it, whether I like it any better. Something's ajar and I don't know what it is. Okie dokie, I'm much happier with that now. If I hold it up, I don't know whether you can see, inking around the edges has made a really big difference. I also feel as if I need something here as well, just so that we've got the power of three. I found in my stash some of these Dina Wakley tissue paper quotes and words and things, and on the bottom things have a way of working out be calm, which I just think is really appropriate for us at the moment. So I'm just going to cut that out and mount it onto a piece of white cardstock, because otherwise it just isn't going to stand out enough. So let me just cut that off there like that. I'm just going to trim the bottom as well, because otherwise that's going to really bug me, because they're not even. So there we go, let's just trim that off. So I'm just going to glue that down to the white cardstock with a glue stick. Yeah, we'll just add our glue to the back and make sure I've got plenty on the ends so that it doesn't come unstuck, and stick it down to this piece of scratch cardstock, and then I can trim around the edges of that too, and maybe ink it up. Let's have a play once I've trimmed it. Starting to work out now. It's coming together as I wanted it to. So I'm just going to ink around the edges of this, just because it's a bit too white. And then I've pulled out some of this hessian here, a textured hessian, and I'm going to stick it down to that just to tie everything together. So I'll show you what that will look like in a second once I've just inked around the edges. There we are, so that's that. And then I just want a piece of this ribbon, and as I say, I'm just going to stick my quote using some Fabri-Tac just down to the ribbon, like that. So where's the, move that out of the way because I don't want to spill any glue on there. I'd better use a piece of deli paper because everybody knows how clumsy I can be. So we'll apply some glue like that. I'll spread that out with my finger. There we are. And then stick that down onto the ribbon. I'll leave a bit of excess because I can always, it's better to have a bit too much than not enough. So of course now we can trim that like that. And I'm just going to weight that down for a second or two underneath a heavy book again. I just love how that looks. I'm really happy with that. When I open the envelope though, I've just got this white line here from where the glue was on the other side. In fact, it still needs peeling off. I'm going to have to just make sure that all that's gone. Now I've got this Bo Bunny stitches stamp. It's a really old set, and I think what I'm going to do is just add just a little bit of stitching, faux stitching there like that, because of course it will tie in with the stitching on the other side. So I'm just going to ink my stamp up like this, not all of it. Let me just have a look. How have I applied that ink? Concentrate on what you're doing, Nina. So open it up, and I just want it in that area just there. So I'm just going to press that down. I think I've just moved it, but if it's not perfect, it's fine, it doesn't matter. It's underneath the flap anyway. That looks better. There we go. And then I'm just going to glue that down like that, and then my butterfly on the top. So again, I'm just going to use some of my 3-in-1 for that. So we'll apply plenty on the back like this. That should do it. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got that centralised. So that's about there. And again, I shall have to weight these down with a heavy book just to make sure that they stick. And we'll add a line of glue along there as well. And I just want that at the top of the pattern there. I'm really happy with that, and I'm ready to glue it down into my journal now. So let's just bring the journal back. Isn't it funny? You faff around sometimes with something. You know that it needs something else, but it's just trying to figure out what that little something else is. And quite often it is just, you know, something really, really small, like these 2 additions here have just pulled everything together. So I need to glue that down. I think what I'm going to do though to glue that down is just use my red double-sided sticky tape, just because I've just got so much texture on the other side. I don't think Fabri-Tac would work, so I'm just going to stick some of this on, I think, instead. So I'll just apply some to the edges and just a small amount to the middle as well. That's the amount of tape I've added, and you've seen me do this before. The easiest way to get this red sticky tape off is using your pokey tool, and then the backing will just come straight off. Hopefully now stick this in place. Oh, that's how my page looks. I haven't decided what I'm going to add to the inside as yet, but I just love that as it is. Now I've got another one of these flowers from the same piece of wallpaper, and I think I'm going to add one of those. Let me just move it over to this side of the page here, but I want to wrap it over. I think I'm going to use my scoreboard just to score a line, because this wallpaper is quite thick. I'm going to take this page out actually just to make it easier to work on as well. So I just need to decide where I want that to go. I think I'm going to score between those 2 lines there. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard. I'm just going to line my flower up. So there we go. And I'm just going to score there like that, which will just make it easier to fold, and then that way I've got something on the front, and then I've got a page started on the back, and of course some continuity as well. So I've just got a little bit of detail on the other side. So I just want to ink around the edges on this, and then I can glue it down. I've inked around my flower. I use the same 3 colours again: olive green, the teal blue, and a tiny bit of black around the edges. I've switched to my Memento because my StazOn's run out of ink and needs re-inking. Again, I'm just going to use a glue stick to stick this down. So, and I'm just going to make sure that I apply plenty to the edges, just so that it doesn't come unstuck. So let's stick this down. If I can peel it off without tearing it. Let's move that out of the way. I'm going to have to go and wash my hands. I'm really sticky now, and I want to glue it to cover up that felt tip mark there. So I think I can have it a bit lower down perhaps. This is fiddly because it's just so sticky. So I'm just going to stick, yeah, it's going to have to go there. Stick that in place like that. We've got a tiny bit showing, but you can't really tell. And again, I'm just going to use my bone folder just to make sure that that's stuck down nicely. And let's have a look and see what we can put on the other side here. Make sure that we've got this stuck down on the other side as well. Now here I am with a completely different page, because as much as I love Louis, he can be an absolute monkey sometimes, and he's got his muddy paw prints over the previous one. So of course I tried to scrub them away and ended up making a hole in the piece of paper. Now luckily I'd got another piece of this ledger and another piece of wallpaper. Now I want to keep this page really simple. I've got some butterflies here. This is just a napkin, so I'm just going to take 1/4 of it off, cut 1/4 of it off. I'm going to keep the plies together because what I want to do is fussy cut some of these out, and I want to try and pick up some of these greens as well, because I think they go really well with the flower. So I'm just going to fussy cut a few of these out, and as soon as I've done that I shall be back. Oh, I fussy cut my butterflies out, so that's how I'm looking so far, but I just feel as if I need something in this area here. Now I've got an idea, because I just want to try and tie the two pages together even more. I want to emulate some of these circles here. These are still 3-ply. I haven't taken the plies apart yet. Let me just pop that to one side again. I've got some dotty tissue paper. Hopefully I've got enough. I want something that's translucent so that you can still see all this gorgeous detail underneath. Here we go, we can use this part here. And what I'm thinking is that if I just glue the dots to the left hand side, I really like how that looks. In fact, I can use the bottom part so that I'm not wasting too much. So I'm just going to cut a piece off just to make it easier for me to work with. So let's just cut a piece off here, and I'm just going to glue this down to the side. I'm just trying to think, what shall I use for that? I want something that's going to be see-through. I'm thinking I can glue that on, something like that. I think I'm going to use a glue stick, and I've also sewn another one of these as well, because I'm thinking that I can have that and then perhaps attach my butterflies like this. I'm going to glue this down first. I've put a piece of deli paper to protect the underside, and I'm just going to attach the glue all the way along like this. Glue stick is clear when it's dry. Well, it's clear as it is anyway, you can see. So I'm just going to apply glue stick all over the background. I could do with another piece of deli paper. Bear with me. So we have another piece of deli paper just to protect this here. And I'm just going to continue to add my glue, just making sure that the whole of the area is covered, and focusing around the edges as usual, just so that it doesn't come unstuck. There we go, we've got the glue on, and so I'm just going to, whoops daisy, try my best just to line this up. This is the straight edge here. There we go, just pop that down. Try and smooth this out as best as I can, and you can see all that lovely ledger detail still underneath, which was what I wanted. I didn't want to get rid of that, so I just need to, here we go, the bone folder will do, just to try and smooth out any wrinkles. There we go, I'm liking how that's looking. It's just added a bit more detail. I like that. So I'm going to let that dry for a second or two and trim around the edges. So I've trimmed around the edges, and I just really like how that looks. And so I just want to glue this down about there, something like that. So again, just bring back the deli wrap. I'm just going to use the 3-in-1. In fact, what I'll do is I'll add the glue to that area there. It might be easier, so we'll do that. Maybe I can just spread it out with my finger as well. Just grab a wipe, and then I want the scallops to go this this way round. So I'm just going to stretch it. I think I need a bit more glue just on the outside. Hang on, let's just put another smidge there. There we are. Yep, that should do. Let me just clean my finger off, and then I just want that to go there like that. I'm going to stretch it because it's puckered. That's my dreadful sewing for you. There we go. But it was good to get the sewing machine out again today. So I'm just going to weight that down for a second or two. Where's my heavy book gone? And then I can stick my butterflies down. Just love how that page looks. Right, okay, so let's try and place these butterflies. I'm not going to be too precious about where these go. In fact, I'm thinking maybe 2 of the larger ones like that, the medium size, and then another green at the bottom, perhaps something like that. Let's try and take these plies apart without tearing the butterflies. Here we go, that's 1 down. This is 3-ply, I think. Yeah, here we go, I can see another one. So I'm going to gently take these apart, and then I think I'm going to have to use matte medium to stick these down. I just want to be really careful with the antenna. And I'm hoping that by the time these are glued down, you'll still see some of that ledger underneath, because of course these are really translucent. I might keep these actually. I don't know what I can do with them, but they might come in handy for something. That's how I think I want my butterflies to go. Now I've just lifted up the edge there like that, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply some matte medium all over the whole of this tissue paper. So I'm just going to go over the whole of it, just so that I don't end up with it being all patchy. I should have put some deli paper in between there, but I didn't. Too late now. So I'm just going to add it quickly before it dries over the top, so that I can just add my butterflies. Right, there we go. So let's just pop that to the side. Give me a wipe, quick. Just wipe that off so that it doesn't stick. And then how did I want it to go? Right. So don't overthink it, Nina, just plonk them down. Like this. And then another one, the last one there, like that. And then I'm just going to very, very gently go back over it with matte medium again, just to make sure that they are stuck down. That one's got a bit of a curl in it. Let me just see if I can sort that out. There we go. So let's just move that one down a bit if I can. Will it come up without tearing? Oh, come on you. Yes you will, yes you will, yes you will. There we go. So just put a bit more matte medium there. I love how that looks. Can you see it? Am I in camera shot? So I'm just going to give that a quick zap with the heat tool, and you can see the layers underneath. That's really cool. I absolutely love how this is looking. Those pages have come together really, really nicely. And I just love how that works in the centre as well, just, you know, tying in with what we've got over here. Now, the quote we've got on the left-hand side, of course, is things have a way of working out, be calm. And there are 2 more on here. Where are they? Break up with stress and care for yourself. So again, I'm just going to glue those down to some white paper, and then we can add them somewhere on this page. I've got my quotes glued down onto white paper, but I'm looking at this side, and I really do think that they're going to be better if I attach them to some of this as well, because I just think it looks nice and it ties the 2 sides together even more. So I'm just going to glue these on with some more of my Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1. I'm just going to glue these down with a bit of 3-in-1. So we'll just add that there, like that. So that one's going to go there. Break up with stress. I just think that's perfect for, you know, this awful time that we're all going through, and let's hope it's over with fast. And I want this one down here. There we go, about there, like that. So again, I'm just going to weight this down just to make sure that it sticks, and pop it back in the journal. Oh, here we go. This is how the pages look together. I just love that. I don't know what I'm going to pop inside just yet. I've got a couple of ideas, but I'm just going to leave that be. And of course, that's how it looks on the other side as well. I just really like that. Do you know, I'm just looking at these leftover pieces. These are the other 2 plies from the napkin. I wonder if we could glue these on like this. I just love the simplicity of the plain paper. Would this work? Hang on, let me just play. You can still see some of the detail as well. Let's have a look. Do you know, I think I'm going to glue these down. I wish you could tell me what you think, yay or nay. And then, of course, you know, we can either leave it like that or pop something over the top of it at a later date. I think it needs another small one. I'm going to take that page out again and stick those down. To do what I did before and just go over the whole of the page, just so that it's not patchy. So let's just do this. I'm only going to do this side, so make sure that we don't go over onto the other page. I'm just going to apply a generous amount of glue all over and just stick them down, and that's how I'm going to do it. See these butterflies, the white ones are really subtle, but as the glue's drying, they're starting to come out a little bit more. I ended up with these 4 clustered in the centre, although I was trying to be really random about it. So that is today's finished spread. I just love it, and as I say, I'll have a think about what I want to make to go into the pocket here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, if you did, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll leave the link to Kylie's video in the description box below as well. She'll be sharing more ideas as to how we can use envelopes creatively. And take care, everyone. I'll see you all again soon. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I'll leave the link to the Mixed Media Emporium in the description box below for anybody who'd like to take part in our challenges and follow along with us. Bye for now.